what they do over there, and if they conducted themselves a little decently, and didn't act as they did like thugs to their people, maybe I would think a little bit better about it. But they have recently ratcheted up, no doubt, their insistence on being able to procure weapons of mass destruction, i.e., nukes, and they're hell bent on it. So, it's one thing where they say, you're born there and that it's you don't know any better. And what if you possibly were North Korean and poor people of North Korea? And I say poor people of North Korea. It's sad that they have this loser dictator that doesn't, but that it doesn't change the reality. And the reality is they have a terrible life. And any insider that's been in North Korea that has defected, these people put on a show in front of Kim, because if they don't, and they don't conform to what they ask them to do, they will be killed, okay, and their family, and that's been done many times, or thrown into prison and beaten, and they wish they were dead. The sheriff in Milwaukee, they think he was bad for giving bologna sandwiches. Jeez, the people in North Korea would love bologna sandwiches. They're eating grass, my friends. They're eating grass. Fuel shortages. You might be hitting the road. And according to news reports here, one particular on Newsmax says fuel shortages from Harvey to hamper Labor Day travel. Not even kidding, just 6 days after Harvey slammed into the heart of the U.S. energy industry in Texas. These effects are being felt not just in Houston, but also in Chicago and New York. And prices at the pump nationwide have hit a high for the year. Supply shortages have developed even though, folks, you got to hear this, nearly 250 million barrels of gasoline stockpiled in the United States. But much of it, it's held in places where it cannot be accessed, according to the experts, okay? When you get frustrated and know these things, that's what I thought. They say it cannot be accessed because of the flooding due to the massive floods too far away from the places that need it, and some of it's unfinished, meaning it needs to be blended before it can go on to gas stations. So some of the biggest pipelines in the United States supplying the Northeast market and the Chicago area have already shut down or reduced operations because they have no fuel to pump. And at least 2 East Coast refineries, including Philadelphia Energy Solutions, Irving Oil, have already run out of gasoline for immediate delivery as they have rushed to send suppliers to the U.S. Southeast, Caribbean, Mexico, and South America to offset the lack of exports since the hurricane named Harvey. Wholesale gasoline and jet fuel prices have soared. At least 4.4 million barrels per day of refining capability or capacity, or nearly 24% of total U.S. capacity, has been closed due to the record rains. Since Friday, I think about 30 cents per gallon. Well, Ben Little, owner of Independent Station, and Ben Little Pure in the middle of Nashville, that's what he said, 30 cents there as well. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency issued fuel waivers in 38 states and Washington, D.C. to ease concerns of supply shortages. And the Energy Department released 500,000 barrels of crude from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve on Thursday. So there's been some relief, but the market is not short of crude, which makes up the majority of the country's strategic stockpiles. The United States is short of fuel. The country only has 1 million barrels of gasoline reserve established in the Northeast after Superstorm Sandy in 2012. That is not enough to supply the East Coast for about, it's just not enough, folks. How long? 8 hours. So gasoline production hit a record in the past week, 9.85 million barrels a day ahead of the storm due to the expected spike in driving demand, according to the U.S. Energy Department data, a phenomenon seen in the last several years. So that's kind of an interesting revealing story here about the reserves here. Energy Department released 500,000 barrels of crude from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve on Thursday. But the market is not short of crude. They say this, which makes up the majority of the country's strategic stockpile. Okay, but the United States is short of fuel. The country only has 1 million barrels of gasoline reserve. 1 million barrels. So it's still not enough for the East Coast for the matter of traffic. Gasoline production hit a record. You heard that. But that is not enough to supply the East Coast for about 8 hours. Did you hear that? Because, you know why? Because that gasoline is not usually for you and I. It's for military. It's for law enforcement. Special services and things like that in the wake of an emergency. That's right. Now, if you're lucky enough, you live on a farm and you have a tank or know somebody that has one, because there are people that do have those. And then you'll always have some kind of supply to put in your truck or your SUV or whatever you drive your car. But if you can ever have a supply, some of you are smart enough to always make sure that your car is topped off, especially if you know something's coming. It's always smart never to let your tank dry. It drives me insane. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm a little OCD and I don't know. But I got to have gas in the tank. I mean, if you're going to fuel up, I'm going to put $10 in my car. $10? Fill the thing up. It's not a matter of money. Just fill it. Now, if you only got $10 to put in, I understand. Fill it. Keep it filled. You never know when you need that full tank of gas. Or, for some reason, the electric goes off. They can't pump the gas. And you need gasoline. So something to think about. I know somebody saying, see, honey, I told you need to fill that thing up. Just fill it up. North Korea, folks, been talking about it, and we've been mentioning it here. The sanctions are failing, as you know, to stop North Korea. The U.S., South Korea, Japan, they show force. And yet North Korea continues on, and despite the UN Security Council's toughest sanctions, North Korea continues to test its missiles. Now, folks, the latest provocation, the latest missiles that flew over Japan, quickly condemned by the United Nations. However, leader Kim Jong-un continues to call for more weapon testing near the Pacific Ocean. Now, Russia is in the mix here. Russia is warning the United States that new sanctions could be dangerous. They're telling us not to do it. Because, we're putting sanctions on them. Because of meddling in our elections, annexing Crimea, all these crooked things you're doing, and you're telling us how we should navigate these waters here. I'm not even kidding. This is directly from the Kremlin. This is Vladimir, ex-KGB, telling us, the United States, that our sanctions could be dangerous, that maybe we need to ease up on the North. This is what they want to do. They say, stop it. Don't do any military maneuvers. Don't ease up on the sanctions. Stop doing it. Vladimir Putin, direct from the Kremlin. It's out from Russia today. You can read it. But there's been a lot of talk. Japan carrying out their united display of force using warplanes to demonstrate their military capabilities. South Korea is doing it. We're doing it. The planes included an exercise where 2 U.S. B-1B supersonic bombers and 4 U.S. F-35 stealth fighter jets were joined forces with 4 South Korean jets and 2 Japanese warplanes. This is, folks, getting ready to happen, in my opinion. I do not see any other way to stop this menace. Kim Jong-un and his folks, his military folks around him, is people that have to listen to him or will kill him. This guy is the thug of thugs. He's worse than his daddy, and nobody can succeed him right now. He's killed everybody. He's killed his brother, killed his uncle. God knows how many other people that he's killed. But if you don't do what he says, you're dead. And that's pretty much the threats. And, Trump is on the Twitter sphere basically talking again about how the United States has paid for 25 years extortion money to the North to try to keep him quiet. And I think Trump's growing tired. A lot of Americans are growing tired. I think the world is growing tired. But know this, that if anything does kick off in the next week or so, we're not doing it alone. We have allies. We will have the latest and with the strategic satellite images and the best intelligence of where these stockpiles are and what's needed to penetrate the ground and to cause the most damage, to cripple them, it's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. After that happens, folks, there will be a regime change. But it will, you want to talk about aftermath, it won't be pretty. I just do not see at this point right now in history, as these things are playing out, and from everything that I've read and watched and the experts and folks at the Pentagon and people that I know work there, this is inevitable. And it's something that I wish could be de-escalated. I wish it was just rhetoric, but this guy is launching things and getting closer to the United States mainland. He's threatened Guam and our forces. He's threatening, he's over Japan, folks. We have troops over there. We got people over there. My brother's over there. How do you stop a guy who keeps on firing these things and has nukes and has the capability? He can launch one at any time. What do? Let him do it? Let him get away with it? He's got to have to be handled. And again, unfortunately, there's poor citizens there that we're going to get caught up in this, and will lose their life over it. But this is what he has put his people in. He's the leader. He's the guy that doesn't defecate. Yeah, that's what they say. He doesn't defecate. He's that holy. He's that special. Isn't that cute? Meanwhile, over half the population, way over half, is starving every single day. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Meanwhile, he's drinking imports. Where's that coming in from? Russia? China still? He's still eating. He's not brewing his own beer. Kidding me? He gets the best stuff in from the States. Loves American beer. And then he loves Swiss cheese. They're like the two things. That's why he's so fat. Yep, the fat leader. Meanwhile, everybody's anorexic over there. Very, very sad. Trump is slamming, it says the rig system over claims Comey exonerated Clinton before probe ended. Oh yeah, this is big doings right now, and this is really heated up if you haven't heard it. So we're going to get into this just a little bit here. Let's see, Jay Sekulow. He's one of Trump's attorneys in the American Center for Law and Justice. Let's see what he says about all of this.
You've got James Comey now with emails going back and forth where he's drafting 3 months before they interview 16 witnesses, including the supposed target of the investigation, exoneration, basically a declination letter before they interviewed the witnesses. James Comey had the nerve to testify under oath that he had to come forward last July to make his statement because the whole process where Loretta Lynch met with President Clinton on the tarmac in Phoenix cast doubt